One day, while exploring the Savage Divide region in Fallout 76, we come upon a peculiar house. This location is known as the Pumpkin House, and boy does it live up to its name. So, just what makes this location so special? Well, to find out, we need to dive into the lore. In the real world, the Pumpkin House is known as the Joseph S. Miller House. Miller was once the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, serving from 1885 to 1889, and then again from 1893 to 1896. His home is now registered as a National Historic Landmark. Located in Canova, West Virginia, the Miller House is known as the Pumpkin House because every fall, the house is decorated with thousands of pumpkins during the CK Autumn Fest. This takes place during the last week of October. The main attraction being the Pumpkin House, which displays about 3,000 carved pumpkins. Yes, you heard that right, 3,000. There is also an old-fashioned bake-off, and there are many vendors selling their arts and crafts, food, and much more. There are loads of activities that happen here as well, which include car and tractor shows, a pumpkin ball tournament, a pageant, home decorating competition, a parade, various other activities, and a scarecrow hunt. All of these activities take place over the course of the week leading up to Halloween. In the Fallout universe, the Pumpkin House was also a major attraction and hosted hundreds of carved pumpkins. If you explore the general area around the Pumpkin House, you will find many spots where festivities took place. There are no notes or any written lore to be found there, but there is a story here. Behind the houses is a large pumpkin patch with a hayride track setup known as Halloween Fright Farm. The morning the bombs dropped, there were people here celebrating the festival and enjoying the hayride. Sadly, they perished, but at least they went out with a smile on their faces and laughter in their souls. Heading back to the Pumpkin House, we notice a Mr. Handy tending the grounds. This Handy is kind of unique as it has an orange paint job and it is named. His name is Jack O'Lantern. And if we listen to him, he says several things before we talk to him.
So many pumpkins to carve, and so little time. On days like these, I wonder what I'm even carving for. It can't be called the Pumpkin House without more pumpkins. There's no such thing as too many pumpkins.
If this is your first time visiting the Pumpkin House, you will unlock a special photo frame. Jack also has a line of dialogue that you only get to hear once when you first speak to him.
You there? Let me take a look at you. Yes, you'll do nicely. Where are my manners? Welcome to the Pumpkin House, one of the most popular attractions in Appalachia. I'm Jack, the caretaker here.
Well, hi, Jack. Tell me, why are you still maintaining this place?
Because my programming demands it. Priority 0. Gather pumpkins and prepare for the festival. See, the mandate couldn't be clearer.
You're positively chipper.
Oh, yes, indeed. It's good to have a purpose. Even if, admittedly, the festival turnout looks like it will be a tad low.
Ironically, this next dialogue choice is the same whether you're visiting for the first time or a return visitor. I'm back to help again.
Kindly fetch me some pumpkins to carve, will you? You will be adequately compensated, I assure you.
This starts the daily quest Trick or Treat. Your goal is to collect 10 pumpkins and return them to Jack. If you do this for the first time, upon completion, you will learn the pumpkin grenade plan. Other rewards include pumpkin grenades, radioactive pumpkin seeds, caps, XP, and legendary script. The radioactive pumpkin seeds are required for you to be able to craft the pumpkin grenades. One thing to keep in mind, there is a fisher site nearby and you could attract the attention of a scorch beast while gathering pumpkins. So if you find this area while unprepared to fight a scorch beast, you may want to stay close to the pumpkin house and pick the pumpkins that are behind the house. Now that we have our pumpkins, we need to speak to Jack and return them to him. If we say, "See you later,"
Indeed.
or we can say, "Here are your pumpkins."
As usual, many thanks for your service. As promised, here are your seeds.
Jack's response is the same regardless if this is our first time or not with completing the quest. However, he does have a new line of dialogue if we have visited before when we start this quest.
You there? Yes, I remember you. Back for more seeds, are you?
If you speak to Jack without having any or not enough pumpkins, he will say this.
You don't have enough. Search the area for wild pumpkin vines.
Once you complete the quest, Jack will only say one thing.
Welcome to the pumpkin house.
Now that we have completed the quest, let's explore the house. There is a variety of scrap here as well as some pre-war food. There are a couple of pumpkin pies as well, and on the kitchen counter you will find a recipe for the pumpkin pie. This is a guaranteed spawn, so if you want the recipe, this is where you find it. Heading upstairs, we find even more scrap as well as a Halloween costume witch hat. As we go into the bathroom, we see the corpse of a dead vault dweller in the bathtub. This is one of Vault 94's emissaries. I covered them in a previous episode, which you can watch here. Going back to the bedroom, in the window nook is a dresser, and on top of the dresser is a note titled Pumpkin Carving Automation Notes. Reading the note, well, I finally got all of the robots online and programmed to carve out jack-o'-lanterns. I'm still having problems with them setting pumpkins down without rolling over. All things considered, I'm feeling pretty good about this automation idea. Wendy named the greeting robot Jack-o'-lantern. I think kids will love it. October 31st is almost here. With any luck, this should be our biggest event to date. This note is interesting because it mentioned other robots, but those are not found here. I wonder what happened to them. Maybe we will find out in a future update. On the porch, we find more pre-war food, and on a skeleton sitting in a wheelchair is a skeleton mask. Both costumes are guaranteed spawns here. Inside the garage, you will also find more scrap. There is also a weapons workbench, so you can scrap all the junk items you just collected or simply repair your weapons if needed. I should also note that this location is part of the quest named Bucket List, which I will be covering in a future episode, so stay tuned for that. Now that you know the lore behind this location, I want to hear from you. Have you visited this location in your playthrough? Did you know the real-world history of the pumpkin house? Sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, give a like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. It really helps the channel, and I appreciate you all. As always, I'm just glad you stopped by, and I'll see you in the next one.